911 if it's medical.
Our boy just got shot.
Who shot him?
I don't know. Just bring someone here, please.
First responders arrive at an apartment complex and find a young man shot multiple times.
He's gonna be 10-7?
I don't know.
EMTs rush the victim to the hospital, but on the way, he dies.
Any y'all see what happened?
I saw two boys running that direction. They ran into that building right there.
We need all four corners covered right now.
Frank 314 to all units responding. Lock this unit down. Let's go.
Dulles police. Dulles police. If anyone's in, make yourself known.
The suspects are nowhere to be found.
Please don't let this be real.
For those most affected by a homicide, the first 48 is just the beginning.
He immediately pulls that gun up, starts shooting multiple times, and it just looked cold-blooded to me.
Please.
Nothing was adding up as to why someone would murder Pedro.
This is the story of the fight for justice.
If he did not shoot, it was either going to be his life or Pedro's life. Show me where you felt in fear for your life.
What he said didn't line up.
In the weeks, months, and years after the first 48.
I needed to know, why was my son murdered?
Lacey and I are heading to southeast Tulsa in reference to a homicide that just went out. When you get to homicide, it's kind of like the pinnacle. And it was my dream since I was about 6 years old, primarily due to watching the Manson murders and the Hillside Strangler case back then. I just remember telling myself that I want to be a homicide detective when I grow up. I hope I have a lot of witnesses. Hopefully that's one right there.
All right, let's do this.
What's happening?
The victim is Fedro, F-E-D-R-O, last name Givens.
18-year-old Fedro Givens Jr., nicknamed Man Man, was the youngest of 15 siblings. He was visiting his sister, who lived in the complex. Fedro was a recent graduate of Union High School and was on the track team.
He was a kid, really, a young adult. And now you're gonna have a family that's missing Fedro forever. We knew that we have a tremendous amount of responsibility to solve this case.
What we had is the victim sitting here with 3 females. One of them was his girlfriend.
Okay.
2 males walk up, like right around in here. They engage in a conversation that probably doesn't last for more than 10 seconds. And according to the witnesses, the suspect pulls out a pistol and shoots him.
Fedro was shot 3 times in the chest.
It's very rare to have a homicide where it's complete strangers. Based on the fact that there was that interaction, told me that they probably were at least acquainted with one another. We need video from that complex.
I think Lieutenant Watkins is some officer.
Okay.
Witnesses who were with Fedro during the shooting will be taken to homicide.
We are gonna go downtown and we're gonna start doing our interviews. I was hopeful. These are gonna be the people that are gonna help me identify the shooter. All right, first of all, thanks for your patience.
White and Lansdowne interview a 16-year-old friend of Fedro's.
Your mom, your little sister.
When you have young witnesses, you want to make them as comfortable as possible because they are about to relive probably the most traumatic thing they've ever experienced.
You were there, you witnessed something horrific. Tell me what happened.
We all sit at the little benches because that's where we hang out every single day.
The witness says she was sitting under the gazebo with Fedro, his girlfriend, and another friend.
We saw the boy in the gray hood and then his friend.
When a black male in a gray hoodie and a white male approached them.
And then they walked up to us and then they asked Fedro, they were like,
take your time.
They were like, are you friends with so-and-so? But I don't know what he said.
Mm-hmm.
And Fedro, he was like, yeah. And that's when the boy began to turn around. He started shooting.
the shooter. He was specifically looking for Phaedro to ask him about a specific person, which tells me this was premeditated.
Have you ever seen any of these two boys before? Okay. Good. Do you know their names?
No. I'm pretty sure they live in Range of Bedford.
She thinks the suspects live in the apartment complex across the street from the crime scene.
How do you know that they live over there?
It was either last week or the week before. The boy in the grade, he came over there and he gave Phaedro a handshake like they were cool. And I was like, who is that? And he said it was the 8th grader that lives over there in those apartments.
Okay. Is that the individual that you saw shoot today?
Yeah.
Phaedro told her that the shooter was a student at Union High School.
You know if he was having issues with somebody?
No. He was friends with everyone, like literally.
Okay.
Do y'all know if he made it? Everything is good.
He did not make it.
Oh no.
Yeah, he's passed away. I know. The worst part of this job is to give a death notification. If you're not affected by that, then you probably shouldn't be doing this job.
I've broken down after interviewing people before. And in this particular case, it was just absolutely heartbreaking.
Sorry.
But at the end of the day, I have a job to do.
All right, sweetie.
3 hours in.
I thought that Phaedro's girlfriend would probably be my best bet in telling me if Phaedro knows the suspects or not. Tell me what happened.
We were all sitting at the table, and these two teenagers came up. They asked Phaedro if he knew somebody. And Phaedro was like, yeah, why, what's up? And then the teenager shot him and ran off.
Phaedro, had he told you that he had any issues with anybody?
No.
I heard a lot of very positive things about Phaedro. He was well liked at school. I was a little bit puzzled as to what might have transpired to make somebody want to do this. You know his condition?
No.
He ended up passing away. She was clearly devastated and in shock. Dear, I'm so sorry.
There were now 2 witnesses who did not know who the suspect was or who his friend was.
Yeah, we're very sorry.
Nothing was adding up as to why someone would want to just cold-blooded murder Phaedro.
What was going through my mind is the potential of, could this be gang related? Is there an issue over a girl? We just didn't know.
5 hours after Phaedro was gunned down.
I tried downloading an hour in every direction.
Lieutenant Watkins delivers the surveillance footage from the apartment complex.
I'm going to pull this in closer so I can kind of see.
We wanted to see where they came from, what they were wearing, what direction they went afterwards, anything that we could get to possibly figure out who these 2 suspects are.
There's 3 chicks sitting here, and then there's the victim standing around this pole. Here it is. 2 guys that walk up. There's going to be Phaedro right here without his shirt on. And it looks like the black male in the gray hoodie is talking to him. There he goes. He's pulling out the gun. Super brutal. The shooter immediately pulls that gun up and starts shooting multiple times. And it just looked cold-blooded to me.
I remember when he first came home. Man, he was so little. I did foster care for a while. And so someone called me and asked me if I would consider taking a baby. She said it was a little boy. I was like, oh my, yes, I am all boy mom, yes. Coming in, he had a lot of health challenges. He was addicted to methamphetamines, but I was up for a challenge. I told him, you know what? He was a blessing. In 3 months, those withdrawals was over with, and he was that happy boy that we prayed that he would be.
Always had a smile. He loved people.
I remember one girl at the school, Phaedro, walked to her and said, man, come on, you ain't got to sit over here by yourself. She got up and she went over and sat with him, and they sat at the table with their friends, and she said she laughed and she laughed. She said that he didn't know that she had intentions of going home and killing herself because of what was going on at home. She called me to tell me how he changed her life and just his friendship.
He had just graduated from high school, and before he could decide on going to college, it was taken from him.
The night that Fedro was shot, my mind could not wrap around that he wouldn't be here, that he was gone. He saw that gun, but he had nowhere to go. He couldn't turn, he couldn't walk. Within that length of time, you destroyed a whole family. Gone way too soon.
5 hours into the investigation.
It's just cold-blooded, man. This video proved to be pivotal because it shows what happened. And it doesn't appear that Fedro did anything to instigate this. The shooter is this black kid in a gray hoodie. It looks like the white kid might be wearing a Batman t-shirt. We'll have to try to figure out who these cats are.
Then,
our caller picked it up and put it in this quick trip bag.
a resident of the complex found a gray hoodie in a drainage ditch 100 yards from where Fedro was shot.
That looks really close. Let's take it over to the crime scene, people. The sleeves had kind of been pulled into the sweater, which means somebody pulled it off in a hurry. Man, I love it.
I automatically thought this suspect had just killed somebody. He was trying to change his appearance because he didn't want police to be able to identify him.
That could be what he was wearing.
15 hours after Fedro's shooting.
We were not getting anywhere as far as getting to an ID. So we reached out to the school.
Right there. We wanted to see if maybe a school resource officer knows the suspects based off the pictures that we had from the video surveillance.
Okay, I've got a name. According to the security guys here, one that could potentially be our guy that's the white kid.
School security officers provide an address for an 18-year-old student who could be the suspect in the Batman shirt.
We really hoped that we were going to be able to identify this person and then we would be able to identify the shooter.
I feel things moving and shaking.
The team heads to the possible suspect's address.
How you doing? Okay. We're working a homicide that happened on Friday down the street. We've been told that your son might have been there when it happened.
I'm like shaking.
Ryden shows the mother a still of the teenager wearing the Batman shirt in the surveillance video.
Can you tell me the location? I have Life 360. I can track right where they were Friday. What time?
Say 7 to 7:30.
7:05.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like he was out north, Gilcrease Hills.
Her son was 15 miles from the crime scene at the time of Fedro's shooting.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
We follow up on all these leads. None of them actually pan out. And you have somewhat of a story as to what happened, but you're no closer to figuring out who your suspects are.
I was frustrated. We had to go back to the drawing board, and you got to get out there and you got to look for video.
As the first 48 slips away,
pulled 8 hours of video.
It's more footage from the complex where Fedro was shot.
There's a likelihood that they were on foot in the vicinity earlier.
Looking for a white kid wearing a Batman shirt and a black kid wearing a gray hoodie.
Here's two guys, a pretty close match to what we're looking for. 3 hours before the crime. Walking northbound, white male on a black male. Size is correct.
What's up?
Hey, Nathan found some video.
Really?
Nathan thinks they headed down the street towards a convenience store.
There's a convenience store straight up the street, which that's what kids do, is they go to the convenience store to go get a drink or something.
This is perfect. I'm 5 minutes away from there. I'm gonna go there right now.
All right, bye.
We were hoping for any kind of video footage that's going to show a better picture of what they look like.
20 minutes later, White texts Detective Nathan Schilling.
Fingers crossed, fingers crossed. It is a Batman shirt. There's our suspect.
I was super excited. It clearly showed who they were, but we still needed to identify them. So there was a lot of pressure there.
I sent it all to Union Public Schools security guys and said, who is it?
Once we had the Quick Trip video, we had to go back to people at the school. We just had to keep talking to people who could possibly know who these people are.
Oh, here we go.
Union High School sends the name and yearbook photo of a student they believe is the black male in the video.
Oh, that's pretty close. We may know who the shooter is. A guy by the name of Caleb Pelton. He's 16. He'll be 17 in a few days.
Caleb Pelton's last known address is located across the street from the crime scene.
I was happy that we had a name, but we didn't have enough for an arrest warrant. We needed the eyewitnesses to identify him at that point.
An hour later,
We're going to meet with one of the witnesses, and Jeff's going to show him these photo lineups.
Lansdowne and Detective Jeff Gatwood head out to meet Fedro's girlfriend.
Oh, there you are.
Want to have a seat, sweetie? I've got a series of pictures here. There's like 6 of them. If anybody jumps out at you, let me know, okay? Just look at each one of them. Take your time, okay?
Mm-hmm. So God, I saw him.
Phaedra's girlfriend positively identified Caleb Pelton. It's almost a feeling of relief. We have more than enough for an arrest warrant.
2 hours later,
We're getting ready to execute a search warrant. Patrol's going to pull up and call him out.
the team heads to Caleb's apartment.
We wanted to retrieve a gun, a cell phone, any kind of evidence related to the crime. And we were hoping that we would find Caleb there as well.
Tulsa police, search warrant! Come to the door, nothing in your hands!
There's a level of anxiety. We have to get him in custody. We don't want us to be harmed. We don't want him to be harmed. We want to be as careful as we possibly can.
Since no one answers, detectives enter the apartment using a key they got from the manager.
Is he in custody?
No.
We found an apartment that looked like they left in a hurry. And we didn't find any gun. We didn't find any ammunition. And we didn't find any clothing that matched what he would have been wearing.
This gentleman has a Ring doorbell.
I saw a Ring doorbell directly across from Caleb's apartment.
The day of the murder. 6:39, they leave. The shooter, he's wearing a hoodie. And then at 7:24, they're coming back without the hoodie on.
Caleb is missing his hoodie that he was wearing when he left, which matched the hoodie that we had found. And we had the other kid that was wearing the Batman shirt.
It was very, very good video. It was a good piece of evidence to find.
So that's really good information.
Oh, that's perfect. Thank you. We're going to turn this over to the warrant squad. We're going to try to find Caleb at that point. We already knew Caleb's dad lives in California. And so our fugitive warrants guys reached out to the agency out there. They find people that don't want to be found. They found somebody that looked like Caleb Pelton, and they felt confident enough to be able to make contact.
18 days after Fedro was killed,
Caleb Pelton has been placed in custody in California. He lawyered up. He's not interested in speaking. Oh, he has changed his appearance.
Caleb is charged with first-degree murder.
He'll be extradited back to Oklahoma, where he's going to face the consequences. We got Caleb, but we still needed to talk to the white guy that was with him. He was right there the whole time.
The Batman shirt kid, if he helped, he could potentially be an accessory after the fact. We really needed to identify this person and find out what their involvement was.
2 days later, Tulsa PD released the Ring video, asking for the public's help identifying the kid in the Batman shirt.
I'll start looking at this. Alrighty, bye. We got a Crime Stoppers tip in.
A tipster has information on the white suspect.
Huh. I just found him on Facebook. He looks like our kid.
The second suspect is 18 years old.
He lives in Broken Arrow.
Perfect.
They head to his last known address.
We go to the uncle's house, and he gave me the dad's number, which was great because I was able to call the dad.
Let's see what dad says.
Hello.
Hey, my name is Jason White. I'm a homicide detective with the Tulsa Police Department. And I was looking to speak to your son.
My son? About what?
About a homicide that he watched happen.
Okay. I'm going to pick him up and head your way.
Appreciate it. Bye.
20 minutes later.
Okay.
I'm glad we're here today.
Okay. This is a freaking huge deal. I want you to tell me 100% the truth. You stood next to somebody that just killed somebody. That's important. Either you knew that this was going to happen or this came as quite a surprise. I just want the whole story. Tell me everything that happened. The one thing that I want to hear is I want to hear why. And I'm really hopeful that he's going to be able to tell me that.
Earlier that day, me and Caleb, we smoked. While we were on back, he says, okay, I think I know this dude.
Caleb's friend says as they were walking through the apartment complex, Caleb spotted the victim sitting under the gazebo.
So we walk up, and the dude gave him a handshake. Caleb doesn't give him a handshake back, so then I kind of knew there was something going, like some tension. He asked, you know, somebody. I didn't hear the name. He says yes. He was just kind of standing there. He just saw him 3 times. So I started running towards the tree.
He says he called a friend to pick him up.
You guys get back to the apartment. There has to be some discussion about what's up.
The only thing he said was like, did I tell you that was going to happen? I was like, nah. He just asked me to pee on his hands, and I was like, not peeing on his hands.
Why were you looking?
Something to do with gun residue or something.
Okay.
Caleb wanted him to urinate on his hands. Kind of an odd request, but it's in the internet. I've never heard of that before, and I haven't heard it since. What did he do with the gun?
I don't know. I left.
Okay, did you see him with the gun before you guys went over there?
I didn't even know he had one.
Did he ever tell you why?
No.
He was confirming things for me. He had confirmed Caleb had a gun, and I learned he didn't know that he had this gun. He didn't know why this had happened. He didn't even know any of the people that were there. Why didn't you call the cops? You stand there and watch a murder like this and you didn't call us.
I'm just scared.
I really hope that this is going to be an opportunity for you to change everything in your life. I really do appreciate you coming down here.
Sure.
I was super disappointed with this kid by not coming forward. But mere presence alone doesn't mean that you take the ride for murder.
His story was plausible. It's possible that he did not know that this was going to happen, and I have no reason to doubt what he said.
I think he's going to make for a pretty good witness. He's going to be able to say for sure, all right, he's the shooter. At this point, we're making sure that the case is buttoned up and it's good to go, and that the district attorney's office has everything that they need.
When I first became involved in the case, it had been filed, but Caleb was in California, and he was pending extradition.
It was about 6 months before we were able to get Caleb transported back from California to Oklahoma in order for us to start the process in Oklahoma.
12 months before trial.
I felt confident in our evidence that we could show what happened.
Here's the security footage at the apartment complex.
The video showed Caleb walk up and shoot Phaedra Givens 3 times and flee.
There were the 3 girls that were Phaedra's friends that were there at the gazebo with him when this shooting happened. And then there was Caleb's friend that walked up with him. There was concerns because all 3 of the teenage girls, anytime we would talk to them about the case, they would start crying. They were too scared to watch the video. And so there was concerns if they were going to make it through their testimony without having an emotional breakdown. I was the lead defense attorney representing Caleb. When we first got the discovery, it was very clear Caleb was the one who pulled the gun and shot. That was the cold, hard fact of the case. The shooting was on video, which is never good. The big question throughout the whole process of this case is, why did this happen? And the only person who could explain what happened and why it happened was Caleb. After reviewing the case, Phaedra's girlfriend mentioned to the Tulsa Police Department that Phaedra was potentially associated with a gang in Tulsa.
Do you think this could have been gang related? Okay. Was he blood? Okay.
From the very get-go, Caleb told us that he knew Phaedra. He didn't know him personally, but he had heard about him and he knew him to be dangerous. You see Caleb and his friend walking. Phaedra approaches them. Caleb, he doesn't know what is on that table, if it's a weapon, but he knows Phaedro to be dangerous. Caleb thought that if he did not shoot, that it was either going to be his life or Phaedro's life. We believed he acted in self-defense and he should walk out of the courtroom acquitted of first-degree murder. This is the second interview of Phaedro's girlfriend. Detective White and Detective Lanzon asked about gang activity.
Was he getting into it with any other gang members that you know about?
I know that something happened over the internet.
Okay. So he got into it with somebody on Snapchat about gang stuff.
I don't find it very convincing just because he had a Snapchat beef with somebody that makes him a blood.
No, definitely not. There's nothing that she knows specifically that puts him in a gang. It sounds like he hangs out with people that might be associated. But we knew this would be something that they would try to press on.
Yeah. About a week before the trial, we filed a motion asking for the court to give us the gang certification report from the Tulsa Police Department regarding Phaedro. I contacted the Tulsa Police Department's gang unit.
There was no gang sheet. They didn't have anything on Phaedro. And the judge essentially denied their motion.
It was a setback in our strategy. We're not going to be able to call a TPD officer to testify. Yeah, Phaedro's a certified member of a certain gang. And so we had to figure out another way to show the jury that Phaedro was dangerous. Here's another part of the interview of Phaedro's girlfriend. And she says some interesting stuff here.
Let's talk about your relationship with Phaedro. Did anything unusual happen between the two of you in the last month?
Yeah.
Nothing.
I know from talking to Detective White, he spoke to people at Phaedro's school. So I knew that there were some rumors out there.
I'm going to bring up a situation. How about him sticking a gun in your mouth?
As a joke. It was nothing.
Tell me the circumstances as to what happened on that deal.
We were just hanging out. He grabbed his friend's gun and then he was like, if somebody did this and that, then he just showed them like what he would do to the person. So he just used me as the...
Like the guinea pig?
Yeah.
It certainly goes to their position that he was dangerous and that supports their self-defense claim.
Yes, but it doesn't change the facts of what happened between Caleb Pelton and Phaedro. I expected that the strategy would be to try to smear Phaedro's character and try to shift the focus from what Caleb Pelton had done.
A year and a half after Phaedro's death, the trial of Caleb Pelton begins.
We were in a big courtroom, and there was a large gallery full of people watching. About 90% of them were there in support of Phaedro.
We wanted them to know Phaedro has a name, he has a face, and he has people that's here to support him.
The entire courtroom was just tense because we're representing a 16-year-old and we're the holders of fate for the rest of his life.
I just remember thinking what happened in his life for him to be sitting in that chair.
After both sides give opening statements,
we called all three of the girls who were eyewitnesses. They were definitely emotional on the stand. I mean, we had to take several breaks because they did break down. But all three of them pointed out, Caleb Pelton, that's the guy who shot Phaedro.
But on cross-examination,
my number one goal was to get across to the jury. Caleb was in fear for his life, and he acted in self-defense.
The defense starts with Phaedro's girlfriend.
In the police reports, there was a mention of Phaedro putting the gun in her mouth. And when I asked her about that, she admitted to that.
That was shocking. I think it painted Phaedro as a flawed victim, and it just seemed like a lot of graphic violence for individuals who are going to high school.
If the defense attorney is successful at painting the victim in a bad light, that is always a concern because the jury could acquit.
The next day, the prosecution calls Caleb's friend, the boy who wore the Batman shirt, to the stand.
He did not seem like he wanted to be a witness. The judge had to correct him a number of times. He didn't really strike me as a great witness.
He testified that Caleb shot Phaedra, and that was the most important thing. And afterwards, Caleb had asked him to pee on his hands to try to remove gunshot residue. This shows he had a guilty conscience. Caleb tried to do everything to cover up his involvement.
Then, the defense returns to the same allegation about Fedro.
Our main goal when we were cross-examining Caleb's friend was to get out that Caleb was receiving threats from people connected to Phaedro.
According to Caleb's friend's interview with homicide detectives, the threats came after Fedro's shooting.
Why didn't you call the cops?
So as soon as that happened, we received a message that one of his people was like, there was some other person that just threatened me to the same way from my cable. And then he was like, whoever was with him, which is me, because I was like, it was going to shoot both our families.
Not only is Phaedro dangerous, but obviously the people he associated himself with were also dangerous. They are now making threats to Caleb's friend and Caleb for what happened. We wanted to be able to get that out to show the jury that Phaedro was dangerous. But things didn't go our way. I asked him if he had received threats from people associated with Phaedro, and his answer was, guess so, yes. Someone saying the word guess, that's problematic because then you're testifying to something you're not sure of.
And so because he wasn't sure who the threats came from, that was found to be speculative.
The judge struck the entire testimony about the threat and told the jury that they could not consider it. I believed Caleb. I believed his story. I believed that he was innocent. And it is frustrating that wasn't going to be in the purview of the jury.
The prosecution rests, and the defense calls their only witness.
There's always a risk in putting your client on the stand, but Caleb believed he acted in self-defense. And it was important for the jury to hear it from Caleb.
We had no idea what his story was going to be until he took the stand.
When Caleb got up on the stand, he was nervous. He was a kid. He's soft-spoken. It was hard to hear him.
I can't imagine being in his shoes when he was testifying, especially knowing that there is video evidence of him shooting somebody.
He testified that he knew Phaedro to be dangerous, that he knew him to carry weapons, and that he sold drugs.
You hear the defense making these statements, and you're sitting there thinking, who are they talking about? That's not my son.
Caleb tried to blame everything on his friend, to say that he was the one that gave him the gun. He was the one that suggested peeing on his hands, just to try to move the culpability over to his friend instead of himself.
Staring at the possibility of life in prison, Caleb faces cross-examination.
I really tried to press him. This is your last chance to tell what happened, to tell why you did this.
Fedro wasn't coming back, so now just tell us why.
He had so much on the line, but he wouldn't say a word beyond it was a female.
He killed someone over this story, and he's not willing to tell anybody what this story is. Caleb was very clear. He wanted to protect the person who was involved in the issue.
I was surprised that Caleb wouldn't give the name of the person because of the stakes. It's his future. Could he walk away if there's a compelling reason?
Part of Mr. Djertsma's cross-examination was having Caleb watch the video frame by frame. He asked Caleb, show me where Phaedro was being aggressive. Show me where you felt in fear for your life.
The biggest point was for me to show to the jury what he said didn't line up with what had actually happened.
Caleb was unable to show the jury when he felt in fear of his life. Caleb was confused, and I don't know that he understood what Djertsma wanted.
After closing arguments, the jury leaves to deliberate.
We had to decide if it was self-defense or not and understand how the law perceived what had happened.
If the jury believes the defense attorney that Phaedro was the aggressive person here and that Phaedro was violent, the risk is that the jury could acquit Caleb.
There was conversation from some of the jurors about what it would mean to send somebody who was 16 at the time to prison for the rest of their lives.
It was very nerve-wracking. We were waiting, and Detective White, he was very reassuring to us. He came out, and I remember him coming out and said, I wouldn't leave and go too far because I don't think it's going to be that long.
Less than an hour later.
Jury came back guilty, murder in the first degree, and the sentence was life in prison with the possibility of parole.
The judge refused to give us a lesser included of manslaughter, heat of passion. So their only option was first degree murder life. They didn't have any other choice. I do not believe there was justice in this case.
I thought this was a just outcome. He took someone's life, and I think a life sentence is completely fair.
I looked at Caleb, and I seen him looking at his mom, and it bothered me. My son is gone, and now another mother has lost her son to the system. The question I still ask myself today, why did he do it? Why was my son murdered?
For Sandra, I wish we could have gotten her that answer of why this happened, why Caleb pulled that trigger. I hope for Sandra that having Caleb sentenced to life will help her start that healing process. But I don't know that she can ever fully heal in a situation like this.
I was having such a hard time with Pedro's death, and I had been praying and praying. And one day I had a dream. I had the dream that he was in his black car. And when I walked out there, he opened the back door and he looked at me with that smile. And he listened, he said, Mama, I'm all right. And I woke up, and that's the best I had felt. And I don't know how long, because I was able to see that smile, and I was able to actually hear him tell me he was all right.
Part of the peace that you get after a moment comes from the fact that we know that Pedro was not doing anything wrong.
He made an impact. He didn't get to live long. We didn't get to enjoy him long. But at 18, he did a lot. His memory is still with us. His laughter is still with us. Who he is still a part of us. He's gone, but I know he would want me to continue on. I'm writing a book called Good Grief. It said we grieve, but there's a good way to do it. You need to be around your family. Those ones that are still there, go love on them. Go be with them.